Today we're recording the very first aged care podcast with Paris Matin from MCG Healthcare. Paris and we go long way back. We started kind of in the recruitment business, and then we kind of knew of each other, and then we obviously opened up the healthcare business. Then over the number of years, I think our values were kind of aligned, and I think our friendship kind of grew a bit more in depth and longer since the last couple of years. MCG Healthcare is a leading healthcare recruitment agency in the country. They do nursing and allied health. Therefore, if you're watching this and you need staffing services, this is the man that you need to reach out to. Paris, do you want to introduce yourself, and then we just go?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Archie, for that. And I was just trying to work out how long we've actually known each other. I think it's been probably 6 years now.
Yeah, roughly 5-6 years.
5-6 years. So it's been a while, and we've managed all these years to still stay in contact and support each other where we can, and obviously collaborate where we can as well. But quick introduction. Obviously, Paris Matin is my name. Managing Director of MCG Healthcare. We've been in operation now just under a year. And we're part of a global talent solutions group called the OXO Group, who are based in the UK, and they have 15 different recruitment brands all across the world in places like the UK, Atlanta, Dubai, Singapore, New Zealand, and now Australia, thanks to myself. So a real honour to be here today and talking all things not only recruitment but aged care as well. So
it's like the whole reason we came up with the aged care podcast, because aged care industry is very similar to the recruitment industry. That's what I've found. And there's a lot of similarities, and there's obviously that care perspective there as well, where we all played our role at certain point in our times in the career. And now I'm a full-fledged aged care provider, and you're still in the recruitment game. And we also have personal relationship through the aged care industry. So we thought, this podcast is not about just the industry and what's happening in the industry from the aged care provider perspective, but it's more about the client perspective that goes completely untouched most cases, right? And we have our own personal journeys to talk about, and that's when it triggered in my brain that we should bring our own stories up and why we do what we do.
100%. And like I said, it's an honor to be here and just really talk through the sector and some of the similarities that we have within our sort of ethos or thinking, and strategies on how we can really strengthen the aged care sector, because look, let's face it, it's here to stay for many years to come, and I think there's more and more demands, especially when we move into more of the home care model. We're seeing more older Australians wanting to stay home than they did maybe 10, 15, 30 years ago. So we need to constantly evolve as well as providers and agencies to support the very best, or have the very best supporting.
And I think the migration had a major impact to it, as people from different countries and different parts of the world came. They brought their own values and culture with it.
They did.
And aged care of home care just grew from there on, because more and more people want to stay home, close to their families, within their close-knit communities. And it is huge as you grow old.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at some of the the carers that come from places like New Zealand, the Philippines, the Middle East, parts of Europe, they've grown up within big sort of family settings. So it's instilled within them to care, for their older people that are within the family. So, we're very fortunate to live in a multicultural, country where we have that ability to support one another, and it doesn't matter, where you're from or what your race is or your upbringing. I think, as Australians, we're always there to support each other and help.
And absolutely, and that's how we build a community, right? Regardless of your faith, your culture, or the subculture, you kind of align under one flag, and then you just grow from there on. And that's the beauty of Australia, right? That's the major beauty, that everyone actually goes out there and help, and that's how we got into it. We, like the recruitment business of the aged care business, is very competitive. There's not much collaborations happening. But for us to sit down together and talk about openly about commercial things and how we can collab together, work together to improve both sectors, is a phenomenal step. And I believe that's where we came in and we met, and there's a lot more people out there. And I think both of us will reach out slowly and increase this kind of mindset, right?
yeah, definitely. I think if you look at ACM Healthcare, for instance, and us here at MCG Healthcare now, we're sitting in ACM Healthcare's office,
That's
chatting,
true.
and I think some people in the industry might look at that and go, well, what's your competitor doing sitting in your own office?
Yeah.
But I don't see you guys as competitors. I never have, and at the same time, like you said, we started our conversations many years ago with that mindset of collaborating with one another and helping each other out. And I think with so much demand in the industry and the fact that we're so short of healthcare workers, two heads are better than one at the end of the day. So coming together,
absolutely,
I think is going to strengthen the industry. And from a perspective of agencies that will have candidates that they work with that another agency might not have those candidates. So instead of sort of owning them, why not share the love and
absolutely, because at the end of the day, we're both in the industry of like caring for individuals those who need care, right? If you're not providing care, you're going to get wiped off. And the thing is, like, we have seen that as well. Organizations, those who work the traditional way, like, oh, you're my competition, like, I'm going to get you. They're out.
Don't speak to them. They're
gone. They're gone from the market, right? The ones that are staying still, like you and us, the ones with a different kind of mindset, they're the ones that are sustaining, and they're the ones that are growing. Is because we didn't actually go with the traditional flow. We actually broke that mold and go, no, we challenged that traditional model. It's like, no, we're not going to work within it. We're going to look outside of the box, and then we're going to start working within outside of that environment.
If you take fun fact, which I'll bring up, but a really good sort of example. So you've got Samsung, two of the biggest sort of telco companies in the world. Samsung is the biggest supplier one of the biggest suppliers for their screens to Apple phones. So it just goes to show that whilst they're competitors on surface in terms of, Samsung uses, Apple is getting their screens from their direct competitor.
Collaboration is where the world is going to go.
Exactly.
And if we are in the industry to care for elderlies and seniors in their home setting, or even in a nursing home setting or retirement living setting, whichever setting we go to, at the end of the day, we are in the business to care for people, and the right way to do so that, hey, let's get the care to the people those who deserve the most. Right? We're actually talking about our future here. If God wants me to live here in this planet for 90 years, karma, right? You do right by someone, and you hope that something's good is going to happen to you as well.
I believe in that too, man. I believe in karma, and the right karma, good karma coming through, and those that help others will be helped in the future. And I have this, I forgot who says it, but it's those that once cared for us. One of the highest honors in life is to care for those that once cared for us. And I think it's so true within aged care. We see older Australians that did once care for us as kids, or supported our communities, and now they're at either their final years or end of life, and it's time for us to care for those people. So I think there's still a long way to go within not only the aged care, the home care sectors, but I think if we keep pushing for that collaboration support, we'll get to a better outcome.
Absolutely, because they are the ones that helped shape this economy that we're living in right now, right? The last 30, 40 years, how they contributed building each part of the society, community, the country, right? No work is small, right? No role is small. Everyone played their part. And that we realized that during COVID, right? We thought like, oh, we don't need people. And then all of a sudden, the cleaning, the grocery yards were going vacant because everyone plays their part. And that's the Australians we're supporting at the moment. And I think I get a kick out of it. I get a massive kick out of it. And I think I put it on my LinkedIn that I'm working for my Ikigai because it became my purpose now to help educate or providing information, and of course service people, those who are in need of service. And that's when we got closer, because I'm going to talk about your grandma, if it is okay.
Yeah, of course.
How complex was that experience?
And God rest her soul, it was the hardest period of my life. Yeah, and I think especially in the home care sector as well, if you're looking at getting aged care funding or whatever funding you might be looking at, they are inundated with applicants and people, and the average time frame now it's taking is 6 to 12 months.
It's actually longer now.
Longer now.
Like 12 to 18 months.
Wow.
So there's a couple of processes, right? You apply for it, and your first assessment from the aged care assessment team, even though it's now been privatized, or from the ACAS team in Victoria, doesn't happen until 6 to 8 months. I got clients who are waiting for 8 months now.
And you know what the sad thing, man, is? Some people that are waiting don't make it.
Yeah, and then by the time, like we have a couple of level 4 clients, they just got funding. Now they've been waiting for well over 15 months. Now, 15 months later, your health is nowhere near when it got assessed that, okay, you're a high need individual. Their care need has gone through the roof. The funding that they have now is not enough. What do you do? Right? Yeah. Like we wake up every morning like, oh, we need to do more, but there's not enough funding. Then what do you do? Yeah,
exactly. It was hard. Look, that first, all up, with grandma at home for close to 8 weeks, that first 4 to 5 weeks a lot of it was privately funded, right? Sort of coming together as family and really making sure that we got as much care, because especially at end of life, you need 24/7 care.
Absolutely.
It's not a case of, from the time of 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. we're okay, we can rest, we can sleep. For us, grandma was awake. That was when she was most awake, was 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Right? She was just wide awake, couldn't sleep. She had delirium, or severely, with delirium, and it was tricky. Like I remember doing shifts. We were doing like night shifts, where I'd sit there with her from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. and then, I'd sometimes go straight to work, and I wouldn't even sleep. And then I'd get home at like 5 o'clock, and I'd literally sleep till the next morning, and then I'd go see her. Or it was just dad.
It's taxing.
Yeah, very, very.
And your dad isn't in best of his health.
He isn't either, and during that period, he got a lot worse. Unfortunately, he went days without sleeping because again, it's 24/7 care, and if you don't have the support or the nurses or the carers to support you, then you almost have to do it yourself. So you're so right, man. Like if you've got that opportunity to start the process early, I'd say to anyone, just start it. Even if you feel like your parents or grandparents are somewhat okay now, start looking into it. Start forward planning, because it, like you said, it's now taking up to 18 months.
Yeah.
And I heard of so many stories when ACAT and that were coming out and doing assessments and things that they were saying to me that we have unfortunate stories where people finally get approved, but unfortunately they've passed away. So
we have a case right now in New South Wales where he's terminally ill. They just got given the package, and they don't have much time.
Yep.
The hospital told me they don't have much time. So,
well, I think for us we had 4 weeks with the package, 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, and
so yeah, it was. It was
a struggle, and the thing is, like, you are lucky because you had a very close-knit family. I think about those individuals who are not in a close-knit family environment. I've seen cases where husband and wife looking after each other and they are not in a good shape, medical condition-wise. So, like, there's a lot goes into the home care setting, or whether we call it aged care, the entirety of the aged care, towards the end bit, there's a lot goes in there, and my heart goes out to them, the family members, those who go above and beyond.
Yeah. It's
not everyone can do that. It's not for the faint.
They can't. And the other side to it was, I remember when grandma was in hospital on her 3rd occasion, that we got together and rallied around the medical team, the palliative care team at the hospital, and they said, look, these are your options: either sending grandma to a palliative care hospital or unit, or an aged care facility, respite facility, and that's what they were sort of alluding to. They were sort of saying they're your options, and I said, well, there's got to be another alternative, and they said, well, there is, but that's going to be a lot harder for your family to have to endure and go through, because you need 24/7 care. And what those facilities do have is 24/7 care, where
correct,
your own home, you have to find that. You have to go out and get private carers, private nurses. So the only option for us was to bring grandma home, and you know, for her to go peacefully in her own setting, her own environment. Towards the end, with her delirium, she didn't know where she was, but still, I think deep down she did know. And
and that's the respect we give it to our older generation, right? I know for a fact it would be the same thing for my parents too. They wouldn't be want to go to a facility. I know for a fact that this is where I'm going to draw my last, right? And we got to respect that.
And I think it's the little things, man. Like if I recall my time, you know, or grandma's final weeks, the fact that she just saw me sitting by her bedside would be, you know, the TV would be on 24/7 in her room, but the fact that she knew that I was there with her meant so much more than if I was to put her in a facility with 24-hour care that she had no idea who these nurses or carers were. So there is that element as well of, you know, I think older Australians, especially at end of life, they still have that, they still know what's going on, even if they seem like they don't. And I remember a lot of the times when I'd go visit her at hospital, you know, first thing in the morning, I'd always get there, and as soon as I turned that corner, pop my head in, you'd sort of for a split second see her face, and then she'd see me and her face would light up. And that whole day into the night, I'd stay with her. I'd get home, you know, 10, 11 o'clock, do it all again the next day. So yeah, just being with them means so much more to them than saying, right, we're going to put you in a home. Not to say anything's wrong with nursing homes, you know, a lot of amazing facilities and organizations out there doing really good things.
And it serves their purpose too, right? Like you said, it's taxing on individuals. Some families can, some families can't. And those who can't, they have to go to that one, right? And I want to make it very, very clear, like those families can do it at home.
Definitely.
Those families can't. You have to do it at a facility because it is safer that way.
Like we were fortunate that we were in a position that we could do it at home, right?
Correct.
But yeah, and again, it's just what you can manage, what you're able to do, and for that we, you know, our option and what we wanted for grandma was for her to be at home and sort of go in her own way at her own time. And it was really interesting. So my grandfather, God rest his soul, he passed away 40 years the day after she passed away. So grandma passed away on the 19th of August, 2024, and my grandfather passed away 20th of August, 1984. Wow. So it just, I don't know if I don't know, did she know or
and
maybe?
That's you know, the interesting thing is I've came across quite a few clients in recent times in our care or through other means that a lot of the older Australians, they have lost their partner at a significant age difference. And they literally raised their families. They literally raised their families without going out there thinking about themselves. They didn't. They actually sacrificed a lot. They compromised a lot. They were young. Right? 40 years ago, your grandma was only 48 years old. She's young.
And she lost her husband, you know, so she sacrificed, did a lot. She kept pushing through, very strong woman, and God rest her soul. So
likewise. How are you?
Me, I'm 38 in July. I know I look a bit older with all these grey hairs, but that's what happens when you're 14 years in recruitment. So
let's not talk about age. I'm turning 42.
Next question.
Next question.
You look younger than me. So what are you talking about?
But I wanna touch base on, like, I know you do a lot of you put a lot of really great posts on mental health, and I know particularly that period you're going through a lot. And you talked about your mate passing during that time as well. Quite unfortunate to hear that, but I want to know how you handled all of this. And I know, without going too much into detail, I know that in personal life you're also going through significant challenges and plus work. You're starting up MCG during that time, and I know for a fact how much it takes to start a new business, specifically if it's a recruitment business. How did you cope with all of that?
I think for me, I just, to be honest, I just got up each and every day. First thing was, you know, thanking God and saying that I've got another day on this planet to keep going, making a difference, and just showing up. I felt like I had no other options but to show up, you know, for family. Grandma, she was going through end of life there. Just launched a new business, and I think part of the business side of it was a little bit of that escape and that option to sort of let a bit of steam off from what was going on in my personal life, and then vice versa. Once I finished at, end of the day with the business, it was right. My attention and focus is how can I be my best for my grandmother and be there, show up, be positive for her. But of course, leaving the hospital at 11 o'clock at night, saying goodbye to her, not being able to be with her until the next day, it crushed me. It was hard. And, I think a lot of the times I came to a realization where I was able to say to myself, I can only control the things that I can control. There's going to be things I can't, right? Like grandma's in hospital, she's at end of life. I can't control that. What I can control is the care she's getting, what we're going to do tomorrow. I can't control where we're at in the business, but I can control tomorrow, like how we shape the business, how we grow the business, etc. So yeah, realization a bit of you can only control what you can control. There's going to be things out of your control. So rather than taking that in personally and beating yourself up and feeling, down about it, it's part of life, isn't it? So yeah, I think a little bit of that, definitely having that escape, which I used work as my escape, and just reminding myself every day that life is an interesting journey, and sometimes it goes good, sometimes it goes bad, and
like from outside, I know for a fact a lot of people wouldn't know what you've been through just looking at your LinkedIn, and that's what I want people to actually understand, that from outside perspective, if you look at Paris Matin, you'll be thinking like, oh, this guy's great, he shares a lot of knowledgeable stuff and great motivating stuff. It's because you're actually going through that, you're actually like implementing it, and most people don't know it's those who are like close to you, and we happen to be there during that time in your journey, and we witnessed it, and I can tell you this much, it was tough. What you've been through, and it was tough in many different angles, because not only that you're going through something with your grandma, with your mates, with your personal life, and then the work, the 4 individually pretty big significant things were happening around you.
It just, I don't know, it just like first thing, launched the business, which was the positive, and then grandma goes into hospital, negative, then I lose my best mate, negative, and then lose my grandma, 8 weeks later, another negative, and it was just like, right, another bump in the road, another bump, but we get up, we keep going. And
that's actually a very strong mindset to have, and I want people to actually know that and recognize that is a tremendous strong mindset to wake up every day and carry it on, right? And you've been carrying on ever since. I don't think you stopped.
No, I haven't, to be honest.
I don't think you stopped in the last 8-9 months. I was like, this is my 10th month in Sydney after such a long period of time, and this morning I had a reflection, and I was like, there's so much going on in our lives, that the fact that we wake up every single day and we get to breathe fresh air, that is a blessing itself.
Yeah, definitely. We take a lot for granted in life, and I think, if we can get to that, like for me, I'm big with my faith, right? So every morning I pray and I thank God, and every night I go to bed I pray and I thank God for everything, and I pray for those that are less fortunate and need things, and I pray to God that He blesses them and everything else. So yeah, for me, I think probably a part of what got me through as well was my faith, and making sure that I showed up every day and thanked the Lord, and we keep going. But yeah, it's not easy, man. Like, don't get me wrong, like I still had moments there where I'd get in the car at the end of the day at being in hospital with grandma, and just sort of have a cry, or so that emotional side of it, you have to let it out. You can't just hold it in. Like if I held that all in that period of time, can you imagine?
I know we spoke a lot during that time as well. Like, hey, are you okay? Not just are you okay, like bro, like I'm here.
Are you actually okay?
Just let me know if you need any, just someone to listen that load, someone to just listen like that. I know,
and that's sometimes what you need, man. Like I remember we were on the phone for like an hour and a half. We'd talk about everything going on with the business, with grandma, like your move to Melbourne, like all of that, right? But then we just spoke about everyday life, and that helps too, especially when you're going through those periods where you feel a little bit. Well, what I'm really advocating for with mental health is really changing the script around what we call it. So rather than mental health, it's mental fitness. How mentally fit are you? Because I think there's a better way of approaching that. And I think just like physical health, we've got our mental health, And what do we do with our physical health is we work to get fitter with our bodies. We need that with our mind. We need to get fitter with our mental health. So mentally fit is my sort of new sort of mantra.
Yeah, and I think that works out really well because, you know, specifically in men's world, men's cannot be seen weak.
No.
Or that's the less manliest thing you can do. Like are you shedding tears? You're not allowed to. For example, my dad, I've never seen him shed tears. Even when my grandma passed away, he was methodical. He's a classic man's man. Like no emotions, nothing. And
similar to my dad, man, to be fair.
It's
older generation mentality of that sort of, you know, not macho man, but sort of that, boys don't cry. But it's obviously changed a lot over the years.
I call it like now, men needs coaching, not therapy, it's
Yeah,
coaching. It just sounds better, right? Like mental fitness, right? We're all into fitness. Like you can go to the gym and do things, but then we have seen as well, like a lot of actors, a lot of great sportsmen, they, at the end of the day, they committed suicide. And everyone was like, what the heck? Everything was great. Like what happened? Right? You know what I mean? It's mental fitness. Like you're right. When you think about not mental health, but mental fitness, it has actually a very optimistic tone to it.
It does. How fit are you mentally? And you know, if you're not, then that's okay. How do we get you fitter? So, you know, it might be talking out loud. It might be you know, reading. It might be therapy. It might be whatever. Sports, like just to take your mind off what else is going on, and so forth.
It's a format of training. It's that's when like I know that we do a lot of coaching sessions for business improvement, performance and stuff like that. You do coaching sessions for gym, right? And you do it for the sports team. And now this is another way of coaching our mind to be into our A game in the industry that we operate in now. Obviously, we operate in both recruitment and in the aged care sector, and you are in the recruitment helping out the aged care sector. We need to be in our A game at all times.
Definitely.
And the mental fitness is one of those things that is going to be a key.
So one of the things we've implemented at MCG Healthcare around mental health is we call them mental health days. So one of the perks, if you like, as an employee is you have that you have access to mental health days. Now we don't cap them, so there's not like, oh, you only get 3 a year or 4 a year. If you wake up on a Tuesday or Wednesday morning with a bit of a foggy brain and you know, you're mentally just not 100% fit, take a mental health day off. You're not sort of looked up, you know, down on, or you know, it's very confidential. So obviously employees will come to me and sort of mention that they're taking a mental health day off. We also have implemented through our partnership with Connects Health, which is an out wellness provider that supports us and our staff with mental health and wellbeing programs. So they come in, they do one-to-one consultations with our staff, and you know, work on things like habit change, stress management. There's so much stress in recruitment on the best of times. So things like that, and also just getting them mentally and physically fitter. And now we're going one step further. We're actually introducing our mental health and wellbeing programs to all temp nurses that work through us as a travel nurse at MCG Healthcare. So they'll get that ability to subscribe to the mental health and wellbeing program. And if you look at it, especially within aged care, healthcare, if you like, post-COVID or during COVID, post-COVID, some of the highest sort of percentages have come out with depression, anxiety, you know, fatigue, overworked within the aged care sector as well. I
can talk about myself. I know for a fact we got absolutely burnt out. There was nothing left.
No.
After COVID, there was absolutely nothing left. Like there was, like I remember telling Carl, like I was like, who's the CEO of ACM Healthcare and the Director of Governance in Salveo Care. I was like, Carl, I don't have anything left in me to give. And he kept telling me like, no, you need to push for. And then we came up for the whole group. We did something similar as well. We signed up with Relationship Australia with Dr. Cody Middleton, who basically coaches our teams. We have the same mental health day for our employees on both sides of the aisles. That's because it's a big thing, right? If you don't, and you're right, exactly right. Not every day you wake up feel 100%. And you can't expect someone to give 100% at work
it's impossible.
Right? If home is going pear-shaped or something is happening in your life that is completely out of your control, you're not your best. How do you give best to the organization? You can't.
No. And we've got more responsibilities, 20, 30, 50, 60, 100 years ago. I think, as a society, there was less responsibilities. But I truly believe now there's more responsibilities today. Things like inflation, the economy's changing, all these things that are going on around the world, it's putting more pressure on people. And therefore you can't, I always say if I get 80% out of my staff each and every day, I'm happy. You just can't, because you have to allow that 20% for that miscellaneous of feelings or people do wake up and they're a little bit, they're woken up on the wrong side of the bed or whatever it might be, right? So you can't expect to get 100% out of your staff every day.
Yeah, and that's why we did as well, like in the whole ACM group with Salveo Home Care and the ACM side of the things as well, like we introduced Dr. Cody Middleton, and he runs these mindset programs, one-on-one coaching therapy sessions. He's a registered psychologist, so what he brings out within the people, like, like I said, like not every day you're gonna feel great. How do you manage it?
Yeah.
How do you coexist in both worlds, right? Manage your personal life, manage your professional life. How do you still professionally perform? You cannot expect everyone to perform at 100% every single day. Even your best colleague will break down at one point. And you just have to so you have to have, as an organization, and we kind of did the same things, that you have to have measures in place so that we don't get, because we are working in demanding industries.
We are.
Aged care and recruitment, they're very, very demanding industries.
And it never sleeps, right? It's 24/7.
It is 24/7. Care doesn't stop. Care goes on. You wake up in the morning, it's the same thing, different day. It's continuously moving.
It is.
Well, we're almost towards the end, and I know that two of the things that I was really passionate about, that having you here is a great blessing. And I know that we are kind of not in our 60s yet, and a couple of guys from 30s and 40s talking about aged care. How do you actually see two words that I want to focus on? Is there's a lot of negative connotation in the aged care industry. There's a lot of fear. There's always complaining in the industry. This is not working, that is not working, new funding model coming, this is going to happen, this is not great. But I always take an optimistic approach. How do you see the two words, hope and care working for the aged care industry?
Yeah, well, I think definitely, going back to my situation with my grandmother, we, during that difficult period, we still had care going through, right? So it didn't mean that we had to put her in a nursing home. And I think we have that ability through the aged care sector now, that we have options around home care, community health, or palliative, respite. So there is options out there in terms of that care factor. And I think what we'll see as we move, along the years, is there'll be more flexibility or more options around, getting care from home rather than having to go to a facility. And hope, I think, you never stop with having hope. I think for me, during that period with grandma, I just kept waking up each and every day, thanking the Lord and saying, I've got another day with grandma, and what can we do to change tomorrow's outview, and saying that we can have it for an extra day, and just keeping that positivity going through. It is, you're right, like it's been such a volatile period within the aged care sector, through commissions to abuse, neglect, all the negativity that we spoke of there earlier. But I think for that, you've got to have that hope, you've got to have that positive mindset that we can change, we can make it a better or more attractive sector as well. During COVID or post-COVID, we saw a lot of aged care professionals leave the sector because they were fatigued, burnt out in terms of their, the ways that they were treated in some ways as well. So I think we've got to change that and really open the mindset or the eyes of people to say that, hey, aged care sector is here, and it's not a bad industry. And these older Australians need our help.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Paris, for coming in.
It's all right, man.
Shout out
Pleasure.
to ACM Healthcare for loaning us your office.
Yes, thank you.
ACM Healthcare is, along with MCG Healthcare, is one of the leading allied health and nursing recruitment agencies in the country. If you guys need staffing, please reach out to both ACM Healthcare and MCG Healthcare. We believe in collaboration, and I believe when we collab together and we try to provide care for those who are in need, we can do a better job together than doing it individually. This sector needs more of us, those who are in the younger, kind of like a younger generation. I'm certainly not as young as Paris, but I believe we bring a fresh approach, a different perspective. We talk about a little bit differently than traditionally the industry is used to. We bring in that patient, client, or participant perspective in front of everyone because we were in the receiving end. It is a demanding sector, there's no doubt, but hope is always there. Without hope, nothing works. Yes, there will be no funding model that will give us absolutely everything. We just have to work with whatever cards we've been dealt with in a card game. That's how I see it.
Yeah, definitely.
And thank you for watching.
Thanks, guys.
And thanks for watching this Aged Care podcast. If you like it, please like, share, and comment. See you next time.